At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
Cleveland! Welcome into the Office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Noah, joined with my co-hosts, John and Erik. You can join us at the office, too. Simply leave a comment, give us a phone call, shoot us a text, 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. And even if you are watching after the live, feel free to text because we'll just get to your comment at a later date and react here on the show. But I've yapped enough to start us off. I'm in a good mood despite the piss poor ending to yesterday's game. How are you guys?
I'm doing all right. It took till about getting home from work today for me to feel like to snap out of that blowing a lead. We'll get into that later. But other than that, man, good weather, good day to be here. Good to be with you guys, ready to get into it.
I feel it, brother. I feel it. Erik, how are you, man?
Well, the Guards got a win today, so that's cool. Other than that, I mean, I'm wearing Cavs gear, so I'm still staying positive. Also, it's like Spirit Week at work, our adult version of Spirit Week, and it was Cavs Day. Bad timing. But we'll get into all that. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pretty good. The sun was shining today for a little bit. What's to complain about?
There's absolutely a lot of things to complain about, actually, because the Cavs are down 0-2 to the Indiana Pacers, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But first, my friends, we got to kick it how we always kick it to start the show. 30-second takes. Aside from José Ramírez, what Guardian do you think can hit 20 home runs this season? We are about, a month and a half, almost 2 months into baseball now, so you got a feel of what this team is looking like. I want to hear your guys' answers. I think you guys could maybe guess who my answer is, but we'll get there in a second. And John, Erik, anyone got a preference to start us off?
Yeah, I'll do it. John always talks over us, so I'll just go first.
Go for it, man.
That was Noah last time, by the way.
Listen, I want my 2 seconds back. Smart money would be on Kyle Manzardo, of course. He's leading the team right now with 8 homers so far, and I don't see why he'd slow down anytime soon. 20 doesn't really seem that high of a bar until you realize that only J-Ram and Josh Naylor eclipsed it last year with 39 and 31 respectively. So I know Noah's going to probably say Bo Naylor, but he was off by 7 last year, so my money's on Manzardo.
John, you're on the clock. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it. The most obvious answer for me is Kyle Manzardo. He already has 8, I believe, and fewer at bats than most of the heavy hitters in the lineup. 40, 50, 60 fewer at bats than Jose with more home runs. Since that's the obvious answer, we also got Fry coming back. I think he has a rehab assignment. He's got the power. He's coming back healthy, hopefully here soon with plenty of season left. So those would be the 2 people I look to get 20 dingers other than Jose.
All right, I'll give myself the timer, even though I don't need it. The answer to this question is very simple, and the answer is Bo freaking Naylor, because he is hitting 10 times better than he has his entire true pro non-minor league career. He's at 5 home runs right now. He's batting 200, but we won't talk about that. But he's got 5 home runs right now. The last, 10, 15, 20 games, he's been lights out. I don't have an exact average. It's somewhere around that 300 mark. And I think Bo Naylor has a chance. I do also think I cut my timer off just to open it back up to all of us. I do think all names that are answered are good answers. There was a comment for Schneemann as well, who's had some firecracker bats.
Could see that.
Do you guys think, I know I'm leaning into my Bo fandom right now. Do you think Bo is really a bad answer? Do you think it's doable with what he's done this year?
No, anything's possible. I mean, listen, he came up, like I said, 7 short last year. I think it's unlikely, but it's probably a better answer than Carlos Santana at this point. And I think that's saying something.
Yeah, it is a better answer than Carlos Santana. It's also, I think, yes, a bad answer. It is a bit of homerism. Listen, I love Bo. I hope he goes great. I hope he gets the bat going, and I hope I'm dead ass wrong. But for a guy who hasn't even who he has a better chance of not hitting 10 than actually hitting 20.
That's a stretch.
Well, how many did he have last year? If he was
13.
7 off of 20, he only had 13. It's a bigger stretch to say he'll hit 20 than he'll hit 10.
Listen, no one besides maybe Noah wants to. You wanna one more time try? No one.
No.
Besides perhaps Noah wants to see Bo succeed more than I do, if only so that we can dust off the "Do you know Bo" ads and switch it over to a new generation. But so far, I mean, great defensive guy, but just not what we want to get out of him production-wise.
And to be honest, it's no shade. I think he's a good player, serviceable. I think he's got a lot of career in front of him. He can continue to improve. If you ask me if Quano hit 20 home runs this year, I'd say no. It doesn't mean I think the guy's a scrub. He's gold glove, platinum glove, hits the ball to all parts of the park. He's just not a power hitter. I just don't see it for Bo.
And he didn't hit that last year.
So, I mean, if you're going to go off of my recommendation, Bo has hit 5, so you think maybe there's a chance. Quan's hit 4 this year already, and you think that you play 4 months of baseball, 4, 8, 12, 4, 8, 12, 16. He probably won't.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's a fun thought process, like, because you look at it right now and you got these guys hovering 5, 6, 7, like you said with Manzardo, another fan favorite in terms of the Noah fandom. And you think, yeah, of course they have all the opportunity in the world, but who really knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say that the key to getting these guys above 20 is getting more at bats, and the way they've been scoring and hitting the ball lately. Never say never on some of these guys because they're seeing the at bats right now.
Yeah, it is wild to think about the tribe I grew up with watching. We used to have arguments like, do you think we'll have 5 guys hit 30 home runs or 6 this year? You know, you got Tommy, Ramirez, and Bell for sure. Alomar could do it. And now we're like, you think anybody but Jose can get 20? And I'm like, 20? God.
Those late 90s teams, man. I went to a lot of them as a kid, and I don't think it doesn't matter what team we have. We're never going to surpass that feeling.
No. I think even when we sucked, we had some bad teams in there. You could at least look at like a Travis Hafner to get like 40 or something. Like it's odd, but hey, they're in the hunt. I'm not bitching about the team. It's just not a lot of home runs.
No, I mean it's been high scoring the last couple games though. If we're talking like the recent snapshot with the Nationals here, I mean, come on, man.
9, put up 8 runs 10. Every game. Yeah,
8+ every game. It's absolutely insane. I want to know what Bo and some of these other batters were on pace for at this time last year with them moving on from that hitting coach. His name's escaping me right now, but he did horrible things to this team, obviously, with how much better they are hitting this year. I'm curious what the pace is year over year, what that looks like, if they're batting better or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dylan asked an interesting question in the chat. Do we think Big Christmas could hit 30+ later in his career if he fixes the contact issues? That's a big if, but yeah, he's got the power, and he can do it in the clutch. I mean, that guy hits the ball a mile. If he fixes the contact issues, though, when you're talking about batting in the major leagues, is a big if. If you swing and miss instead of swing and hit, that's that's a big problem.
Yeah,
listen, I mean, if he does nothing else, we'll still have last year. That clip I've watched like 100 times at this point. So
good.
In theory, sure, but I don't know if it's gonna happen. I would love Big Christmas. I want to see him succeed so damn bad, especially being at that playoff game where he hits the home run. That being said, though, it's been a rough outing, fielding and batting for Big Christmas. And
listen,
I don't know if I see it happening.
If you don't have it at this point, you're not fixing your contact issues at this level of your game. I'm sorry. It's not really feasible for me.
Right. I'm with you. Gentlemen, anything else you want to touch on about home runs and the Cleveland Guardians? Because I sure would love to see a lot more of them so I can put some more bets in and win me some money off of our Guardians hitting home runs. You feel me?
Can you put a bet on over 20 home runs for Bo?
That is a good question that I should go check after the show because I'm going to do it.
those like plus 4,000 odds will probably really pay off for you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna fade Noah. Give me the under hard.
Okay. This is like a shake.
This could be a dumpling bet.
Wait. Yeah, no, let's do it. I was thinking the same thing. Bo Naylor, 20 home runs, dumplings, LJ Shanghai. If he goes over, you buy. If he goes under, I buy.
Deal. If he hits 20 on the head, I still buy because I don't think he'll get 20.
Shake.
Shake, shake, shake.
We'll call it 19.5. The line is officially 19.5. Gentlemen, this has all been fine and dandy, and we got so much more to talk about today. But first, we got to take care of some housekeeping, and it's my favorite bit of housekeeping, and that is our show sponsor, D&D Meadery. D&D Meadery, for those who don't know, are honey wine or mead created by two twin brothers from Madison, Ohio, now crafted in Menor, Ohio, and it is some of the most delicious liquor. It's not really liquor. What would you call it? Booze, I guess. That I have ever had.
Aperitif,
Wine.
maybe.
Aperitif? I've never even heard that.
You've never heard of an aperitif?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, not to kill the live
dear
read, but we also realized 5 minutes before going live that Noah never seen The Godfather. Erik quoted something about coming to me on the day of my wedding, and Noah was like, "Isn't that the Bible?" So it doesn't surprise me that you haven't heard of it.
Man, he went straight to throwing you under the bus there.
I 100%, and that's totally fine because if you want to be dumb and drink like me and John and Erik, you can use code @the-office CLE for 5% off. Buy 2 bottles, get a free shot glass. Don't put it in the dishwasher. It'll break. They also have a lot of new flavors out.
Noah's shot glass is sleeping with the fishes, which is also not from the Bible, but
I knew that reference at least. Listen, they got a lot of new flavors out. This stuff is absolutely delicious. You can support local. You can drink local. Please drink 21 years age of older, and please drink responsibly. Gentlemen, anything else on D&D Meadery that you want to plug in there real quick?
Just to thank you for being our sponsor.
Nothing besides
Always.
it is gas. I'm not really a wine guy. I do mix a little with champagne. I like champagne. But it's good stuff. I mean, I've only had their honey wine so far. I need to branch out and try those other flavors, but it's really good. And I know John has even cooked with it. So it's pretty versatile as well.
Yes,
it is a great addition for a very good price. I'll leave it at a very good price. Gentlemen, we have introduced a new segment here on the show. It's not really new. We've done it a couple times now. Regardless, we call it, well, I'll just play the clip and let you know what it's being called. We are talking around the water cooler, and this is an interesting one because I had a tweet go mini viral on X, and it sparked a lot of debate. There was a lot of comments. There was a lot of stuff going on. So I'm going to open it up to us three who are all Cleveland Guardians fans, all similar mindseted people, and ask, is this Wing G logo overhated, or is the hate of it forced, as I said in my tweet? I open the floor.
John, go ahead.
So in my mind, we're all brand guys. We've talked about our marketing experience. We have to separate the questions. People hating on them not being the Indians anymore, no matter what they're called, and hating the name Guardians isn't the same as does the logo stink. Does the logo stink? I don't love it. When they came out with it, I thought they did a decent job given the time that they had. I will say this. I think the Guardians have the second or third best uniforms, top to bottom, in the majors. The blue is nice. The red is absolute fire. You can white pants, gray pants, the homes and aways, like red, white, and blue is so classic. I think they actually did a wonderful job with the uniform overall.
Behind
that said, who? What'd you say?
Just real quick, behind who?
LA Dodgers. The all-white LA Dodgers is as good as it gets in my mind. And then because it's so similar, Kansas City Royals, especially with the gold mixes in, for me are really, really sharp. After that, maybe after the Royals, I'll put the Guardians at 2 or 3.
The pinstripes of New York.
Actually, I hate pinstripes. And it's not a Yankee thing.
Worst logo, worst brand in baseball.
Oh,
They
come
got a dope,
on.
They got a dope logo.
An insane brand, but
I just
don't
like pinstripes. But no, I just think it's like the jerseys and the look and the feel, the main block C with the kind of waistline pinched in. I think everything looks really good. And I see that patch on the sleeve or see it pop up at the bottom of the screen, and it's like kind of goofy. I don't think it's a lot to get worked up over because it's not like it's a NFL logo where it's on both sides of the helmet and you can't get away from it. They don't even put it on the hat very often, but yes, could they have done a better job with all that the Guardian actually means to Cleveland with better than a baseball smashed between a flying G's? I think they probably could have done a little bit better with that.
Erik, I want to hear what you have to say. I'm withholding my info till the very end.
Listen, when they first introduced it, I hated it. I thought it looked like something out of Major League the movie or for a minor league team.
I've seen that movie.
Right. It looked Jobu isn't in the Bible either. But it looked terrible to me. And as time has gone on, it's really started to grow on me. I know it's silly, but first of all, it's a secondary logo. So exactly like John was saying, this isn't splattered everywhere. Do I think that their tertiary logo, the Guardian itself in a circle that they very occasionally pull out, is better? Probably. But that said, I think the challenge here is not the logo itself. It's that you're going against the iconography of the past and the Indians and Chief Wahoo, which, like it or not, has a hold in the nostalgia part of our brains. I think that, listen, the Chief is gone. We need to get over it. Half the arguments on Noah's Twitter were bring back the Chief. Like, it's not happening. Let's move on. But that said, I think it's been a struggle to adapt to these logos for the simple fact that they are unfamiliar and they're new. If in 20 years we're still using that winged Guardian logo, it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's that bad, honestly.
So, Erik, I think you hit the nail right on the head for me in terms of my take. I didn't hate it when it came out, especially when they broke it down with the wings on the G being for like the wings on the helmet for the Guardian. I don't like that it's a G instead of a C. I like when it's the city represented more than the actual team name. But again, it's a secondary logo. It's like a word mark of sorts. You know what I mean? It's like having a Brown's dog almost, or even Brownie the elf. If you're going to compare it to a brand that's most popular in the city of Cleveland, whether you like it or not. Tim Lyons in the comments did say worst logo and brand Cleveland Browns.
It's pretty bad. He's not wrong.
To me, this logo is overhated for all the reasons you said, whether it be people wanting Chief Wahoo back or, I don't like that. It's some of the stuff that we've said, the G, or one of the popular takes was it looks like it was made in Microsoft Paint in the 90s and with all the 3D and stuff. I just think it's overhated. I think it has good ties to the city. And that's the long and short of it, really. I just think it's an overhated logo. I don't think it's my favorite. My favorite is the Guardian that you were talking about, the City Connect jersey, actually. That's their main logo that they're using.
Yeah.
They've been sprinkling it more and more into the brand of the Cleveland Guardians this season because of the heightened popularity of that logo. But overall, I just think it's overhated, and the main reason of it being the Chief Wahoo bring back the Indians debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think we've touched on it.
Go ahead, E.
I was just going to say, I think we've touched on it a little before, but part of the challenge and what they did is they kept so much similar too. Guardian script on top of the scoreboard is the same with a few different first letters. The colors are the same. I'm not saying they should have rebranded. They're probably the best colors in baseball or that you can use, period. But they struggled to break away from that older branding because they essentially piggybacked on it, but now it's a new name and new feel, and it feels just a little bit off. So it almost sits in that uncanny valley at times where it's not the Indians, but sometimes you still call them the tribe. I think that stuff goes away with time, but that's been their struggle, in my opinion.
I think part of it too that makes this whole debate interesting is it's the logo out of all the logos that they brought out with the new Guardians rebrand that didn't have similarities to the original Cleveland Indians branding, whether it be when they had Wahoo or when they started using the Block C as their main logo and moving away from Wahoo. You mentioned the Guardian script matching the Indian script. The C it is very similar to the Block C. It's just pointed a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, there's
an
reason why
interesting
brands.
piece of this, though. I got to jump in there real quick. The similarity in the logo is actually there. I don't know if you saw this when it came out, but if you take the Guardian with that funky little tail and rotate it about 90 degrees, the silhouette is very similar to Chief Wahoo. Have you guys seen any of that stuff? It's
No.
Pop it, Eric. I wanted to hear what you have to say, but no, if you can, pop that back up and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Are you? Oh, yeah. When they flip it, hold on. Let me pull. Oh, I don't have it anymore. But
That's
yes,
all right.
I know what you're talking about when they turn the logo and it looks like Chief Wahoo upside down or whatever like that.
Sideways. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Let me see if I can pull it for you guys real quick. One more time.
What I was going to say is that there's a reason why when, we make fun of brands that do this, but when, Post Cereal changes their logo and it's just a very small change to make it flatter or something like that. There's a reason, though, that they're sticking with their branding and not making these big overall changes or changes in color, etc., because it would be too much and they have a lot wrapped up in that brand. So you're right, Noah, in that it's the only kind of icon that is super different until that tertiary logo came out. And it's just hard sometimes. It's just hard to see it because it's so new. But I do want to see the...
This is the comparison left and right, John, if you want to walk through it.
Yeah, so if you take the Chief Wahoo that's on the right and rotate it counterclockwise about 90 degrees, a little less, it's got the same profile as the Guardians logo. I actually saw something where they just flipped the G sideways. They're like, the Chief isn't really dead. They just hit it in plain sight, and I was dying because it is very similar when you look at the profile, even though the drawing on it is different.
Anyway,
I will
gentlemen.
say one last thought on that because you got so much negativity about how we're not the Indians and Chief Wahoo in particular. I think we've talked about it before, but make no mistake, Cleveland, as nostalgic as I am, and I still own things with Chief Wahoo on it, I don't wear it out for the fact that it is racist as shit. And there was a graphic, I don't want to mince words here. There's a graphic designer years ago that made other logos similar to Chief Wahoo. They did the, I think it was the Brooklyn Jews. They did the San Francisco Chinamen, and they made the something blacks. They made very similarly. Or Negroes maybe. They made something very similarly logo wise, where it was this caricature character essentially as the logo. And when you see it outside of that Native American Chief Wahoo that we had, it is racist as hell. And so is the Chief. So I just wish we'd move on and get behind our team a little more. Those people that say, I'll never go to a game again, shut the fuck up. It's time to get over it.
It also doesn't matter when you reference those people because the attendance has been up year over year since the name change with the popularity of baseball coming back in general. So,
and they're full of shit because I know people personally that said, I will not support this team. I have a new team. And as soon as we're doing well, they're back. So come on, don't be a hypocrite either.
100%. Listen, gentlemen, this has all been fine and dandy. Lillian in the comments already teased to where we should go next with everything because we've been bottling it up. We're 25 minutes in and we have been bottling it up. The Cleveland Cavaliers lose game 2 to the Indiana Pacers in the final moments. Everybody has been doom, gloom, sad, upset, whatever adjective you want to use for the feelings of downtown Cleveland right now. And not to even just to throw a little bit more dirt in the wound. The NBA did their 2-minute report, the last 2 minutes of the game, and said that Tyrese Halliburton's offensive rebound should have been called back because of line or what's it called?
Lane violation.
lane violations by 2 different players.
You can see that live. I don't know why we needed the 2-minute review a day later. Thanks for nothing.
Can we get rid of that stupid thing? That is the worst thing they've implemented.
I agree. I 100% agree. But the Guardians, the Cavs are down 0-2 going to Indiana, a hostile environment, a solid playoff environment with injuries, with Donovan Mitchell looking like he needs to sit in an ice bath for the next 3 days after the performance he put on the court just to lose again. How are we feeling? What are we thinking? What are your keys to move forward? John, you started last time. Erik started first. Erik, I'm going to let you go.
Let me start by saying I'm still positive here. We talked a little bit in our group chat of what we thought. Listen, they should have won that game without 3 key pieces. It was a risk what Coach Atkinson did. But had they won and he was able to rest those 3 guys, I think we would have called it a smart move, and we should have won that game. My question and the keys to moving forward are what's going on with Ty Jerome? That's crazy to me. I feel for Mitch. He's putting the team on his back, putting his body on the line, and not much is happening. And this becomes a must-play game for Mobley and Garland. Garland it's a pain issue. He has a sprained toe, and it's a pain issue. Are you kidding me? He sat for 2 weeks. I mean, can he not get an injection and play through the pain? The calf strain of Donovan worries me a little bit. And it makes this year almost feel like when Kyrie got hurt in 2015. I know that was the finals, but it just has similar vibes to me. Physicality has been the question for this team all year long. And how they would take those knocks from hard-played minutes in the playoffs, that was the question. And so far, the answer is not very promising because the fact is we outplayed them. We were more aggressive the entire game. But then in the final 57 seconds, we can't even get the ball across half court. You guys mentioned the rebounding. I don't know why TT's not in there for size. It seems to make sense to me if you need a rebound. That said, both Strus and Mitch deserved the proverbial game ball for their performances. They were both lights out, hitting everything, but they need to do some soul searching. Game 1 was lost because they looked disinterested and they weren't there. Game 2 was lost because they didn't execute down the stretch. I mean, they were up by 28 points. They played their game plan and played aggressive the entire time. And then when it mattered, they let the game slip away. And it's a heart-wrenching ending. But I think this is a team that thought they would stroll through to the at least Eastern Conference Finals, maybe even the finals. And they've got punched in the mouth. And as a lot of people, the saying goes, it's what will you do now once you are punched in the mouth? We need to take game 3. It's as simple as that. If we don't take game 3, it's over.
Yeah, I agree with a lot you said. There's a lot to unpack there. First things first, I agree with you on the proverbial game ball for Mitch. I would pull Strus's back because even though he had an excellent 41 minutes, he did have some inbounding, jumping around, shenanigans at the end of the game. That was a big part of costing it for us. But I guess Mitchell missed a few free throws that you could say the same thing about. It was a gut punch. I told you guys in the text, I'm standing by it. I've thought over my last 8 years of Cleveland fandom, this is the biggest punch to the gut, watching them blow a 7-point lead with about 50 seconds left that I've had since the rain delay in Game 7 of the World Series against the Cubs and them coming back and winning. Not quite the same stakes, but we had championship hopes and expectations. They're not dashed. There's still a path. We got to get healthy. But you talk about being in a real bad spot going on the road against a team you were supposed to beat pretty handily. They made their work a lot harder for themselves. A couple key things stood out for me. One was we still don't use the bigs. I don't understand, even with Mobley out, why with a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, the whole offense didn't just spread out around the 3-point line, lob it into Jared Allen, and let him go to work. A third of the time he's going to make the shot. Another third of the time he's going to get fouled, and you will bleed the clock, and the Pacers won't even have enough time to score 20 points. We're still out there heaving three-pointers like we're down 8 when we were up 20 with double digits left in the shot clock. I thought that was silly. I know that's how we got here. but we don't have all the players in that we used to get here. You got to be smarter in that position. 2, at the end of the game, how many things could go wrong in a small span of time? I mean, the odds were something like 99.89%. Like if you had 1,000 chances to finish that game up 7, I believe, with the ball with 50 seconds left, 1,000, you'd win 998 of them. So everything had to add up. The missed free throw and the rebound, and then Halliburton, I thought he was going to drive down the lane. Somebody in my office today reminded me he can't drive with his left. So Ty Jerome, who got busted again, probably should have known he was pulling back, but that step back, that ball was in the air for like half an hour. But I do think that the Cavs played well as a team and had a really bad 30 seconds at the end, with one key exception. And I hope every single person who ever floated the idea or flirted with the thought of getting rid of Garland and just rolling with Ty Jerome has watched every minute of the last 2 games. Now, I don't want to put it all on this guy. I think he's a talented kid. He's only his 2nd year in the league, I think, his first one actually playing.
But he's been in the league forever. He's like 28. This is just his second. No, it's
breakout.
This is his breakout year. He was playing good for us last year. He's been in the league he's like 28. Yeah.
Okay, so I stand corrected. Even more reason why you should expect more out of the guy. But when your shot's not falling and you're just driving down the lane, getting fouled and looking for calls, use the rest of the team. He was 1 for 14. If I look at one thing that stands out from the entire game, yeah, Mitch missed a few free throws. He had 49. Yeah, Strus had some knuckleheaded inbound stuff. He went off in that game and did everything we needed him to do and played pretty good defense. 1 of 14 from your point guard kills me. And not using Jared Allen late to bleed clock and to get to the free throw line killed me. I think they can bounce back if we're healthy, but I'm kind of glad we have 3 days off because it takes a minute to rinse this one out of the system. That was ugly.
Can I go?
Certainly.
Are you sure? Are we
Are
positive?
you sure? Erik can start over again.
No, I know. No. I have never, in my entire life of being a sports fan, working in sports, whatever else you want to say.
Like 15 years. Go on.
Screw off. Seeing an arena get deflated to the point that Rocket Arena was last night, about this time last night, 24 hours ago. I'm talking about it was dead quiet. It was funeral level quiet in that arena. Normally, back where I'm at for work in terms of my Cavs shifts, I'm by where they play the radio broadcast. They turned the radio broadcast off. I mean, it was quiet. I had coworkers crying. I have never seen it outside of like the finals, obviously, in terms of just a regular playoff game. Ty Jerome was abysmal. I don't have to rehash that. You guys already hit it. He was 0 for 7 going into the second half and finally hit one shot, finished with what, like 4 points? Donovan Mitchell did his best interpretation of LeBron James, despite being a couple inches and a few pounds shorter and smaller than him. And we still chalked it up. That inbound pass, that to me was not on Max Strus. Max Strus threw a solid ball. Jerome stood there like a brick and let it get picked off. I'm not trying to bully Ty Jerome because I am a huge Ty Jerome supporter. I think he has been fantastic all year, as most Cavs fans have. I think he's been fantastic through round 1. I think he's had a shaky 2 games, and it's time to pick it up. Now, let's go to the injuries. I think, Atkinson, as you guys have already said, really tried to bet on his team and think, okay, we'll take one at home. These guys will get their rest, and then we'll be able to pull it out from there. Well, now you didn't. And my biggest question after game 1, Erik, when you and I sat here on this show on Monday night, was Cleveland, Cavs locker room. How will you respond? And my question remains, how will you respond? Because all season you have done everything and then some to beat the we're soft allegations and, this team are a bunch of frauds. Well, you're not helping yourself right now. You're not doing yourself a favor. You want to know how you do yourself a favor? You do what Tim Lyons said earlier in the chat, and you win in 6.
I do want to jump in real quick because while I think you're right, I will say for 3 quarters, damn near 4 quarters of that game, we did play that way. We were the aggressor. I mean, Rick Carlisle talked about we were the team playing harder. That's the difference when we were up 20. So they came out and they responded exactly how I wanted them to respond. But they let the team stick around, and you can't do that in the playoffs. You got to put it away, and that's what they didn't do last night.
So let me ask you this.
The team stick around,
real quick. Real quick, John. Let me ask you this. What does it even matter? They didn't win the game. That's great. You can play the best 3 quarters of your life. If you lost, you didn't respond.
It matters because they weren't as lackadaisical. We still had 3 guys out, and that matters. Listen, I don't want to put it all the blame on those 3 guys sitting, but not having Mobley, that's a big deal. You know that. So what we saw out of injury hampered team, including Donovan, who's limping his way to the locker room, we saw a fight. It didn't go down the way we wanted, and they hit an extraordinary shot to end the game. And yeah, we didn't execute in that stretch in those 57 seconds, but we did see fight, and that's what I wanted to see. And I think that bodes well going into Indiana because their heads should be a little higher. They saw it. It was in their hands, and it was like sand, dripping through. I don't know if sand drips, but you get what I'm saying. They were right there. And they know that they can win. They also knew they're a 62-win team. They know what it takes to win. So I think the resolve is there. I think we're going to see a bounce back and a huge win. That does matter, in my opinion.
I'm curious if we are going to see Tristan Thompson step out in this type of enforcer role, because I remember back in the years and the days of the LeBron championship window, we had guys like that would come in. J.R. Smith with the double technical. Jay Crowder is one that comes to mind. Kendrick Perkins was a enforcer, and that was about all he did. He'd come off, he'd play 5 minutes, he'd throw a punch and go back to the bench or the locker room, depending how the refs are feeling. I wonder if Tristan Thompson or maybe even a Javonte Green is going to step into that role. John, you were going to add something in there for a second. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, Erik made a point a couple of questions ago now that the Cavs were – maybe he didn't mean it. Maybe it's semantics. Tell me. But part of what you said that I disagree with that makes it more frustrating for me is you said they did a good job. They played hard. They showed how they were supposed to, but they let the Pacers stick around. They were up 20. I don't feel like they did let the Pacers stick around. I feel like they whooped their asses for 45 minutes and then completely blew it, which in my mind is different. If you got, hey, we were up 15, but you let them nip back to 6. And, hey, we got up 12 and you let them nip it back to 2. That's letting a team stick around. I think the Cavs put it to them and they were up 15-20 for 2 quarters. And the reason I brought it up, not to disagree with something that doesn't need to be disagreed with, it's to say that's what killed me worse. If we were only up 3 points the entire game and kept letting them nip, I'd be like, hey, you know what? We lost another close game. We blew a 20-point lead in 8 minutes.
Yeah, but it didn't happen in the fourth. I mean, we were up 20, and then it was the end of the second and going into the third that they went on a run. So the beginning of the third, they went on an 8-0 run, if I'm not mistaken.
No, the Pacers
they were outscored 21-36 in the fourth quarter, Erik.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what was the third quarter?
34-37.
Yeah, it was the fourth. And 21, the difference between 21 and 36, I mean, when you have a 20-point lead, you can do the math. That's most of it right there. They blew that whole lead in the fourth quarter. They were throttling the Pacers. Everything we wanted to see, we saw. And in the fourth quarter, about a couple minutes in, it's like watching a snowman melt. Everything just before your eyes. What happened? It just was 90 degrees.
Dylan makes a good point here, though, that fatigue caught up to them, because even Atkinson was saying that he wished he would have played the bench more because those guys were gassed.
So why not play them more? I mean, they had a bunch of bench guys giving them great minutes.
It's a good question.
Guys, we have a lot of viewer questions coming in, so I want to answer a couple of them. We'll go YouTube text back and forth. We have a text from Dean that said, I wanted to ask you guys what your opinion is on how the Cavs are going to play in Indiana. Do you think that they are going to take both of these games? This is me pivoting. The question ended at Indiana. Do you think they're going to take both of these games? Do you think they're going to play hard? Do you think that they're going to bench some players? What do you guys think?
I think it depends entirely on the injury situation, especially with Donovan. Do I think that the intention is to play hard and take both games? Yes, absolutely. But if we still don't see Garland, if we don't see Mobley, if Mitchell's hobbling along, I think that this series is over.
I want to give a shout out real quick too. We got the same question from Jack, who said, do you think the Cavs get rinsed in enemy territory against the Pacers? I'll open that back up to you now, John, to see what you think.
No, I can't see this team getting swept. It's going to come back. The question is, are we going to come back tied? Or are we going to come back on life support? And I agree with Erik. I think it starts and ends, and everything in the middle has to do with who's healthy and how healthy they are. Not as worried about Spider because he's a gamer. He played hurt. He's been playing hurt. He's getting hammered in the lane and keeps coming back. If Garland can't go and Mobley can't go, I have huge, huge, huge concerns. And if they're both out, we might be screwed.
Who's more important to you guys, do you think?
Mobley. The defensive player of the year. It's Mobley for sure, in my opinion, because he's the defensive player of the year and we lack big depth. Ty Jerome could turn this thing around and everybody will be singing his praises if he has a 30-point game and Garland sits another one.
Sure. You know what? It's a bad time to go soul searching, though.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a lot of ifs too. Like again, I agree with you, Mobley's DPOY, and that he's huge for his size and what he does in his game. But on the other side, if you replace Ty Jerome with Darius Garland for both of the last two games, we win both of the last two games. I know that's not quite how it works, but 1 for 14 and missing inbounds passes and Halliburton dotting your eye for a 3 as time almost expires. Like, again, not to rag on the guy. He's been great for us this year, but like he's a liability.
Yeah. And Noah and I touched on it a little after the game 1 loss. One of my issues with that loss is how our offense was looking stagnant. We looked better for a lot of the stretches in game 2, but it's extremely frustrating for us to go down the floor and have 4 guys just standing around the arc. No motions, no screens. You have 2 bigs in. They're not utilizing the paint like we can. That's game 1. What are we doing there? Because you know what else spreads the floor pretty well? When you got to worry about Mobley inside, you get it to him. He can dish it out. You're running off-ball screens. I saw no movement in game 1 for a team that led the NBA in offense. I'm not sure what the hell I was looking at.
We have another comment in, guys, a little bit further back. What are your guys' thoughts on the financial situation with the Cavs heading into the offseason? I'll jump in real quick just because this is a simple answer to me. With how the luxury tax works and everything like that, immediate concern, 0. Future concern, a lot, depending on if they get a championship out of this window or not. If they do, then we can go back to cap hell for a couple years and be a bad basketball team. I don't really care. But we have plenty of buffer room, in my opinion, with the luxury tax as of right now. What about you guys?
I refuse to accept the principle that the Cavs are headed into the offseason. I still am holding out hope that we're playing basketball until June. I don't, but I agree with Noah. We got an owner who will spend too. That's always nice. Even if you're in the double luxury and there's some nasty cap hits and luxury taxes, I think he'll get it done.
This is a question that I agree with John. I think we reserve this down the line a little more. I think the question is more what pieces will we add, not worrying about the cap, because I think if we fall to the Pacers or we fall in the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm not so positive that they won't go out and make a blockbuster trade or do something bigger to try and help this team. I know we talk about the core 4 all the time, but the front office is not afraid to make moves either.
We got one other. Well, we got a couple more. We'll go to Tim Lyons, even though I think we all have the same answer for this. If you lose against the Pacers, will the Cavs fire this coach too for making the playoffs and losing? I know he's doing this in jest, No, 100% Kenny Atkinson is the coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers next year. Another question. Why no Porter when Ty was god-awful? I think this is a fair take from Barry, honestly. Porter played some solid, hard-hitting minutes in this game when he had that transition dunk and he was playing defense all over the place in his short stature. Give the kid some more minutes, especially if Darius Garland is out in this game 3. What do you guys think?
Hard agree. I thought he opened strong. I like seeing Porter out there. Listen, like you said, though, Noah, we know what Ty Jerome can give us. We just haven't been getting it. And I don't know why he gets open looks and he's just missing. It boggles the mind because these are things that you expect. You know, he puts the ball up and I go, oh, money. And it's not hitting. I don't know if he's in his own head. So I think, you know, when shooters are in a slump, you keep letting them shoot. And I think what Coach Atkinson's trying to do, you send him to the bench, it's going to be worse. He's got to work through some of this. Now, at a certain point, though, we also need to win. So that's the question that Coach is facing. And I think what he's doing is trying to let his shooter play through it and get back on track.
I do think,
100%.
though, that to your point with the question, Barry, why no Porter? I would expand it to everyone. If I was going to give one piece of huge credit as to why we might have the coach of the year, it's that throughout the season, he's never hesitated to let his bench guys play in certain spots. When you needed a guy who was big, you might throw Tristan out there. When you needed another guard, you might throw Porter out there. And then in some of the blowouts, which became pretty plentiful at some points of the season, these guys were getting 5, 8, 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. Then you go back to last series and say, okay, well, that's regular season, no playoff. We had our bench playing the entire fourth quarter of 2 games in the playoffs against the Heat and still getting buckets. I would expand it to say, why no Porter? Great question. Why no anybody else? This is why you gave them those minutes and played them all that time. It's to see what they could do and be ready for the moment. And then you just run the starters ragged and you give these guys 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there. Everything goes exactly the same way, but you have Tristan Thompson's fresh legs rebounding on a free throw at the end of the game. We might still grab it and win. Like there's so many spots where you could have put in a bench guy because they prepared him for this moment. I just don't know why they didn't use more of them all the way across the board, not just Porter.
By the way, real quick, because neither of you have mentioned him, shout out Dean Wade with 10 boards last night. That's something we struggled with, and
he was still an offensive liability, which is not.
I get it, but he was hitting the boards, and that's a liability for us. It's been one for a long time.
Dylan asked, do you think Okoro is still injured? That fall was awkward looking in the third. And then he said, seen him favoring it till the end of the game. Probably. I think all of these guys are dinged up. They played 81 without the last game they sat out. 81 regular season games plus the preseason. Now we're starting to get into a rough and rowdy team. 100% he's a little bit injured. But I think all of these guys are at the point where they're going to play. Period.
Dylan, to answer your question earlier on the cap, Okoro is a guy you can say goodbye to right now. I do not envision him being with this team much longer.
Where did that come from?
Eric's like, he's out.
I'm just letting you know.
They just re-signed him though too. He's got a good team-friendly deal.
You've heard of a sign and trade, right?
Well, this isn't the definition. This isn't the
I
definition of a sign and trade.
Sign and trade 2 years removed.
Gentlemen, to wrap up the segment, I want to know confidence level. Give it a percentage, 0 to 100, obviously, in the Cleveland Cavaliers having the ability to move on past round 2 as things stand right now, Wednesday at 9:50 p.m., May 7th.
30%. That's an average of 0% if all these guys are still hurt, and 60% if all these guys are healthy. Knowing what I know now, I can't play God, and I don't have a crystal ball, so hoping a few of them here or there, I say 30%.
Erik?
I'm going to go a bit higher. I think knowing what the injuries are, I do think a few guys will play. I'm going to go 52%.
That's more than half.
That is funny as hell to me. because I was going to say 51% because I am confident still in the team because they were one of, if not the best teams in the regular season for the NBA. But I mean, I was the guy that the clips out there of me saying Tyrese Halliburton, Baby Birkin, whatever, Cavs in 4. Like, I thought they were going to get past this round pretty quick. So my confidence was probably at 100, 5 days ago. So for it to diminish 49% over 2 games is pretty vast in my opinion.
Here's the thing, though. This team is weird. I mean, there's a scenario where, and I don't think this is likely, but where we go down 3-0 and then we rip off 4 straight. Like, you just don't know with this team, because even when we were getting down, or even when we were down a decent amount in game 1, I see this team as closer to those Golden State teams that they can turn it on in an instant and be in any game. So I think the same holds true throughout the rest of the series. I think we're in it.
I do have one quick thing. When you transitioned into this segment, just because these are our final words, when you transitioned in, you saw Lillian hit us in the chat. And I think you might have thought that she was just saying, yeah, but what about Cavs basketball? You're like, oh, yeah, Lillian, we're going to get into that. She said the Knicks beat Boston by 1.
Yeah, they're down 0-2 right now, too.
91-90. I wasn't sure if you guys caught that or just thought she was making an NBA reference, but I was like, oh, my God. So
no, John, I'm so glad you said that, because something we talked about in our chat today that I wanted to bring up on the show. I said that if 2016 and LeBron taught us anything, it's sorry for the expletive here, it's really fucking hard to win a championship. There's a lot of parity. It's not easy. There's a reason we haven't even been close since. We're seeing that right now. We're seeing the top seeds go down. Every single one of them lost game 1. And obviously Boston lost again. Boston's a good team. They can hurt you. And nobody expected the Knicks to do much the way they were playing at the end of the season. Vice versa for us. Pacers are a good team. We give credit where it's due, but it is not easy when you get to this point of the season. And just about I know half the freaking league makes the playoffs, but when you're in this round, every team is good and you just don't know what's going to happen.
For sure. I am looking forward to Friday and Sunday and seeing what happens next, seeing what players are going to play for this team or not play for this team, and what the next steps are for the Cleveland Cavaliers. We are all sad. We are all down right now, but maybe there is a silver lining and we still continue this run and we can still feel good. Basketball in the land is not over yet. 0-2 hurts. How will you respond is my question. Gentlemen, I'm going to take us to a quick break because we have not hit our break yet, and we are pretty late into our show compared to when we normally do the ad break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little Cleveland Browns to wrap this up and really hit the gambit of all 3 teams. I feel like we haven't hit all 3 teams in one episode in a while, so I'm looking forward to that. You are listening to At the Office, a Cleveland sports show. We'll be back after these commercial messages. And we are back at the office talking all things Cleveland sports. Quick reminder, feel free, call or text the show, 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. Hit the like button, subscribe to us on YouTube. Just type in At the Office, a Cleveland sports show. If you're not subscribed there already, helps us grow the brand that we are trying to grow an absolute ton. Shout out Fans First Sports Network, our parent network, who helps us, sponsors us, and, facilitates all of the things that we do. But with that being said, it's rookie minicamp season, boys. We are getting closer and closer to football. Cleveland's unfortunate favorite time of the year. And I want to talk a little way too early season predictions for the Cleveland Browns. I'm keeping this broad because we're at a very broad point. We're at 90 plus people on the roster. We're at rookie invites, but there's some stuff that came out in the news that I think validates us talking about that right now. And that is, in 1 week, we get the official schedule coming out. So here is what the opponents are, home and away. So we've got the Bills, Green Bay, Dolphins, Vikings, 49ers, Titans, and then, of course, the AFC North rivals at home. And away we play the Bears, Lions, Raiders, Patriots, Jets, and the AFC North teams. And that is what the schedule is looking at this current time. But there was something else that came out news-wise that made me think this might actually make sense. And I'm not taking full credit. This was Erik's idea to go in the show, first of all. But this is what validated it for me. So there is a Warren Sharp who does a lot of data analytics surrounding football and sports in general. And instead of going based off of strength of schedule compared to, your normal last season record, he did it based on the betting odds for the team and moves and all of that has gone on. And going off of it this way, the Cleveland Browns have the second hardest schedule in the NFL for the 2025 NFL season. So I open the floor to you guys. You guys are a bit more optimistic than I am. What do you see happening with the Browns? Keep it loosey-goosey. Talk about who you think is going to start week 1 quarterback-wise and who's going to start week 8 quarterback-wise and then week 14, blase, blase, blah. Erik, I think you started the last one. John, hit it.
Yeah, John, I want you to go first, but we're more positive than you. You're like thinking we're in the playoffs every single year, but go on, John.
Have you heard
weird.
My tune real quick, John? Have you heard my tune? I'm like 4-win Cleveland Browns right now over here is where I'm at. So very normally I'm like, yeah, Super Bowl, Super Browns or Super Browns, Super Bowl, whatever. I'm just not feeling it this year, man. But go ahead, John.
Okay.
There's a lot going on. I'm looking forward to seeing 18 different quarterbacks compete for the role. It's nice to have some people who might have some talent, who have some experience. They'll all be better than our quarterback room last year. That's one thing I'm looking for. I'm really excited to see the running backs, 2 rookies that we drafted, especially with Quinshon being an Ohio State kid. Thunder and Lightning. It's something that I think was overdue. I think we saw the writing on the wall last year and just chose to ignore the fact that Nip Chug was so banged up. But overall, this is kind of silly season. I got to be honest. Talking football to me in this time of the year in May. First of all, you know what the schedule is every single year because you play a couple divisions in this AFC, you play a division in the NFC, you play your division rivals in your own division. What order it comes in doesn't matter to me. And yeah, I think the Cleveland Browns are going to have one of the top 5, 7, 10 hardest schedules in the NFL every year because no matter who you play, you got Cincinnati twice, Pittsburgh twice, and Baltimore twice, and we're in a tough division. That said, I won't be all like, who cares? The NFL is just trying to sap more money out of us and putting stuff on TV. It is fun to see, around holidays and New Year's and Christmas and stuff, what's going on, Thanksgiving games, who's got Monday night, Sunday night. I would say Thursday night, but I think that's losing its luster a little bit. When are we going to London? So there is some fun stuff around the schedule, even though I don't think it materially changes what we're going to do. But I don't know. No, if you got the Browns winning 4 games next year, then I suppose you were accurate in saying I'm more optimistic. I think they could get to 6. But who the hell knows? If Shador comes out and plays like a stud or Joe Flacco is still in the fountain of youth and flourishes in Stefanski's offense, we could go on a run. It's hard to say. Like you said, it's way too early.
Erik, what are you thinking, man?
Well, here are my predictions for the season. First of all, I'll go with the craziest one. I think we're going to have a winning record. I know. I guess I'm switching places with Noah. John, feel free to call me out come February or January or November when it's already
September.
An impossibility.
Yeah, well, we're 0-4 to start the year. Yeah, go for it. That's all right, though.
Feel free. I'm not going to put dumplings on the line. But our biggest question mark going into last year was quarterback. And I'm not saying we solved that question mark, but what I am saying is that it feels better. It feels lighter. We don't have the albatross that is Deshaun Watson hanging over our heads both on and off the field this year. Whether or not that results in more wins, I don't know. But right now I'm predicting it as more wins. Part of that, what's going to help, as you mentioned, 2 new running backs, a new tight end, some guys on defense, a particular guy returning as well. My other prediction, though, and I think Noah and I have talked about this and we both agree, I don't think they're done. I think they're going to get some type of receiver playmaker, whether that be through trade. Well, I guess it would have to be. I predict that. I'm glad it wasn't Pittsburgh's guy that went to Dallas because he's a head case, and they wouldn't have dealt with us anyway. But I don't know. I don't know why I feel good. Strength of schedule's not great. The division's going to be tough, but we seem to be in a better place than Pittsburgh right now, dare I say.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I was going to throw some Pittsburgh shade when I got on here. After trading Pickens, they really only have DK. Their quarterback situation is god-awful. I know you guys are high on Will Howard. I don't think Will Howard is going to be an NFL quarterback. I've always said that. I'm going to take this a different route instead of going like record predictions and thinking all positive. I'm going to focus on quarterback for a second. Joe Flacco is going to start the year. Kenny Pickett's going to get traded, I think, to a team that either wants a backup or needs a guy to spot start because someone got hurt. And I think that is the battle one. I think after taking 2 rookie quarterbacks, both of them are going to make the roster because they want to see what they got going on with them. That being said, I know they put out the tape of Shador, the call, and it was a good call. It wasn't, overhyped to them being sad and doing the clap in the camera like it was on the TV stream. I still think that they love Dylan Gabriel. So I think we're going to see a little bit of Dylan Gabriel before we see a little bit of Shador Sanders, and the fan base is going to be pissed. That being said, I think Mason Graham is going to be an absolute animal. Same thing with Carson. I can't remember his last name. The UCLA running Schwessinger. Yes, there we go. I think he's going to be fantastic. And I also am looking forward to little Quinshon Judkins looking like prime Kareem Hunt. And I mean prime Kareem Hunt, not Kareem Hunt as the second fiddle back in the Browns. I'm talking Kareem Hunt when he burst into the scene for the Kansas City Chiefs. Similar run style, similar type of play. I'm really excited to see that. Record-wise,
on the field and not off the field.
Right. Well, he has no issues. I know you're saying that because of the Kareem comparison.
Yeah. Since I interrupted you, I'll also say, just for the record, I'm not big on Will Howard either. I don't know where we got that one from.
I will say I like that. I know we're getting off track, but I like that as soon as he was drafted, that like Sunday he called and asked for their playbook. I mean, the kid's willing to put the work in. That's fantastic, in my opinion.
You know what? I know another kid that's willing to put the work in because he got drafted in day 3 as well. And he was seen in a gym on Monday working out. And then he went to speak to some students to work and then work out on a field. He was at a high school football workout today to talk to the students and work out with them. And I just think he's more talented front to back. And he goes by the name of Shador Sanders.
Number 12.
Number 12, Shador Sanders, 12 gauge.
Got to get you. No, you cannot use 12 gauge.
I know. I did it to piss you off. Do you guys think we'll see Shador on the field this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you guys think we'll see Dylan Gabriel on the field this year?
Yes.
I
think we'll see all 4 at some point.
Agreed.
Do you think we'll see Kenny Pickett on the field this year?
Yes.
Caveat on that, if he makes the roster.
No, that's part of the answer. Do you think he makes the roster? Do you think he gets cut?
Yeah, he'll be the number 2 quarterback. I think they're
not keeping 4 quarterbacks on this roster.
I think
one of the veterans got to go.
One will go to the practice squad.
They'll get scooped up.
You got to clear waiver.
That won't happen.
We'll see what happens.
If you put Kenny Pickett on waivers, he's not going to clear it to make it to a practice squad. There's too many teams.
All four of them. None of them are going to clear waivers if they go to the practice squad, whether it be Flacco, Pickett, Sanders, or Gabriel.
Well, only one of them is two of them are Super Bowl champions, but
I think Pickett's the odd man out. If you say, will we see these guys, I'll change my answer to Kenny Pickett to no.
Hold on. Let me ask you this, because I know it seems crazy to sign or to have all 4 on your roster. You're giving up a roster spot. But with the caveat being, we know week 3, week 4, teams need a quarterback. They go shopping, and you can get a lot for a guy like Kenny Pickett. Why not?
We're
take that
talking about a
gamble?
team that doesn't even like to roster 3 quarterbacks.
I know, but
like
I think it's worth the gamble.
during the Baker Mayfield time period and even the Deshaun Watson time period when they thought he was going to be healthy, they didn't like to roster more than 2 quarterbacks. To say they're going to double that and waste a roster spot when they're also going to have 3 running backs and they're also have all this depth at O-line that they signed in case of injury, it's just not going to happen.
And I would also challenge just the last piece. When you said get a lot for having a quarterback, you're not going to get a lot for Kenny Pickett, no matter how desperate people are if he hasn't played.
Yeah, you're talking a 5th round pick, a 4th round pick, maybe what we paid for him.
Yeah. If you were talking about it like, man, Shedeur looks like crap, but let's keep him on the roster because you might be able to get something for him. Different conversation slightly, but Kenny Pickett won't command a high value on the open market, no matter who gets desperate for a quarterback.
I'd be shocked if Sanders is cut.
I was going to say Tim Lyons said.
Oh, no. Sorry, go ahead, Noah.
Thank you. Tim Lyons said Pickett or Sanders will be cut. Sanders is not going to be cut because of one thing, the dollar. Because he is the highest selling rookie jersey on the team shop right now. There's no way Sanders gets cut, even if it gets to that point, in my opinion.
And to be clear, that's not
trash.
I don't even think Haslam would let it happen then because it's printing money. They let Johnny Manziel run around on the field.
Johnny Manziel had wins. There's a difference. I mean, he wasn't the greatest quarterback ever, but he was exciting to watch.
You're talking about college?
He didn't go 0-16 for us.
I'm looking that up right now.
he won
Regardless,
some games, didn't he?
I think he won
a game, but to make the argument that Shedeur doesn't have wins and Johnny Manziel did, if Manziel had 2, is kind of crazy.
He had 3.
Yeah, I was like,
3 wins.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was great against Alabama. I'm like,
you're also comparing
3-11.
You're also comparing a guy that was partying in Vegas on a Saturday and showing up to the stadium late on Sunday versus a kid who just wants to play football and has already started talking at high schools and all of that.
You're putting way too much emphasis on the high school speaking circuit.
The community matters.
I mean, I love it, but you're putting too much.
I will say, too, just for clarity for people listening, when he said it's the number 1 selling rookie jersey in the team shop, we don't mean for the Browns. We mean in the National Football League.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, did you mean that?
Yeah,
it's the number 1 rookie jersey.
Yeah, okay. That's why I don't think they're going to cut him even if he sucks. I agree with Noah.
Travis Hunter, followed by Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders.
It was Shedeur as of last week.
Yeah,
so it might have flipped again now.
Shedeur is 3rd, according to CBS Sports. Noah, get your order in. You're letting him slip.
Oh, I'm not ordering it yet because I don't think he's going to keep 12.
As of May 2nd.
May 2nd. Okay.
At 5:40
so that's
PM.
newer than the last time I checked it. Anyway, gentlemen, any other outlandish, big brain, reaching theories without even knowing a schedule right now? I love that we got to talk a little bit of Cleveland Browns. I feel like we've treated them like the plague after our 4-hour show, trying to stay far, far away from them.
Expectations are so low. I just feel like we're going to surpass them a little bit. I think it was CBS Sports, or maybe it was Sports Illustrated, I think, that did a way too early mock draft for next year. And they had us picking number 1, which obviously means we had the worst record. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think both ourselves and Jacksonville, they could be 9-win teams. But I'm a realist, and I can also see it going the other way. I could see us being in week 4 or 5 going, well, this is dumb. Let's play our rookie and just see what happens. But what surprises me the most is not what we think the Browns can be. It's actually Noah's pessimistic take. The guy that has backed Coach Stefanski through everything. Speaking of being in the Bible, Coach Stefanski's right there in Genesis for Noah. And I'm just, that's called a callback. I'm surprised at how negative your take is, honestly.
I never officially gave my record prediction though.
Oh,
That's
said
7-10.
You said 4 wins a couple times. I thought that was you letting us know.
No. I got them at 7-10. I think the defense is going to be way too talented for them to win similarly to what they had last time. I think it's like 7-10. I don't think they're going to have a winning record. I think it's going to be an improvement from last year. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with the Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel and quarterback thing and not having expectations for the first time in a while. Like, I'm excited for this season in that regard, but to have anything that is super high, a winning record to me is asinine.
John, since he gave his, what's your record prediction?
The way too early caveat means we can change this many times before the season actually starts.
I agree.
Based on everything that I know today, I don't see us winning 9 games, Eric. I don't see us winning 7 games. No, I got them at 5 or 6 wins, which is still a marked improvement over last year. Again, I guess 6 and 7 isn't that far off, so it's not like we're wildly different, but I don't know,
if
man.
6 were your over under, would you bet dumplings on you take the under of 6? I take the over of 6.
If I hit 6, I win. So you'd have to get 7. Yes, I would take it.
No, 6 is the over under. I need 7. You need 5. 6,
and it just washes at 6.
Yeah, we wash at 6.
No, if I say I think the Browns will win 6 and they hit exactly 6, to me that should win a bet, not lose it.
Or tie it.
We're saying
put the money where your mouth
under,
is.
though.
Put the money where your mouth is.
Do you not get how an over under works?
I do. So put it at 6.5 and take the over.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, it makes a difference. There's only 17 games in a season. You can't just get half a game on an over under.
All right, one order of dumplings. I'm taking over 6.5. You're taking under.
You said, would you put?
You just
Why
put
are
it
you
at
thinking about it?
6.5.
This is the exact bet you wanted. Just say yes.
I agree. You want to put it at 7 now? Like, what are you doing now?
You said, if we did this, would you do this? I just got done saying it's way too early. I don't want to bet.
I know this
on
is
Browns
the way
record.
too early dumpling bet. I'm taking over 6.5 wins on the season. This is what makes it fun.
Sure.
It's early.
All right. Yes.
All right. Shake.
Thank you, gentlemen. And with that, we're going to wrap up our Cleveland Browns segment and go to random thoughts and hot takes, our fun little wrap up to our show that we always do. So I hope you guys prepared some because I sure didn't. Eric,
can I go last?
Go for it.
Nope, I'm last.
Okay, John, you're up.
Yeah, sure. For me, it's all about NBA playoffs right now. I watch the Guardians almost every game until the postseason started. I've been watching more basketball, especially other teams in the Cavs, than almost any other point in my life. I've been pretty locked into all of these games, all of these series. It is at our expense currently, so it kind of sucks, but I love the parity. Coming into a season in the NBA where it's truly wide open, of all 8 teams that remain, given what we know now, none of these teams making the NBA Finals will be that big of a surprise. Some bigger than others, but given how we've played, what we've seen with the upsets, what we know about injuries, and, the Knicks are up 2 games to none on Boston, and they were in Boston. We talk about the NFL trying to have parity, but we always seem to end up with the Chiefs and the Eagles. We talk about baseball maybe being a little wild because the playoffs are a little silly. We always end up with the Yankees and the Dodgers. You could have OKC versus the Knicks. You could have Minnesota versus the Cavs. I have no idea what's going to happen, but kudos because it's wildly entertaining.
Crazy take considering there hasn't been a repeat MLB champion in 25 years, but I like it other than that.
Well, if they win every other year for 25 years, it's kind of the same. But go ahead.
Yankees haven't won since 2009.
Well, there's more teams than the Yankees, Eric.
Only you said Yankees and Dodgers.
Yankees,
you
Eric.
said Yankees and Dodgers every other year.
The Dodgers are going to win 163 games this year. They're that good.
Yeah, that's facts.
Hey, listen, don't come at my hot take if you didn't even prepare one.
I have one. I'm ready.
Okay, then go. I'm ready.
All right. My hot take is that with the college football playoff expanding, I'm going back to football. It is highly unlikely any team will ever repeat as national champions ever again. That being said, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes winning the national championship next year. Hot take. Mic drop.
Let's keep with our women in sports theme over here, and I'm going to predict a Caitlin Clark MVP. She looks absolutely yoked right now. She was built and built and built.
She is jacked.
She looks jacked. She looks primed. She looks ready. And I can't wait for the W to start back up, man.
Are you saying she looks good?
I have a girlfriend, man. I'm married.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So you can't look at another woman ever again?
John, help me out, man.
I think the beauty of Caitlin Clark is what she does on the basketball court, and that she doesn't need to be objectified.
Jesus Christ.
Thank you.
But to answer the question, no. I think what makes her dope is that she isn't the world's most beautiful woman, and she's just a beautiful basketball player. I don't find her cute. I find her awesome at basketball, and I love watching her play.
Gentlemen,
I
it's
hope
been an
our
absolute...
group chats are never leaked, gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say in response to both of you assholes.
No,
And
not me. My record's clean.
And on that note, I'm muting both of you for a second so I can get this out. Thank you for tuning in to At the Office Cleveland Sports Show. Please hit the subscribe button. Follow us on X, TikTok, Instagram, you name it, we're on it, @TheOffice, CLE. Shout out once again to Fans First Sports Network for everything they do for us. John, Erik, anything else you want to say?
Thanks for listening. Good to be with you guys tonight.
On the record, I disagree with John. I think Caitlin's cute and great at basketball because she can be both.
Fair enough. It's been another day here at the office. We're having a good old time. We will see you next week where we'll talk about whatever buffoonery is going on in downtown Cleveland, whether it be a game 5, game 6, we're going home. The Browns signed some random player. Who knows? We'll be here at the office covering all the latest sports news, rumors, and gossip. Cleveland, thank you for tuning in. And until next time, stay up, stay blessed. Peace.